Hey, Michael, welcome to the show. I want to start off with, are you the crazy ass neighbor or do you know a crazy ass neighbor?
I am not the crazy ass neighbor. I hope. I don't know. Someone might be
You
out there
could
telling a
be. They
story
could
about
turn you
me. I
into
could
one.
be. I've done some stuff, but no, I am not the crazy ass neighbor. I know one, or I knew one.
Okay. Well, tell us, like, kind of set it up for us. What
It
happened?
is. It takes a yeah. So this was when I was living in Los Angeles in the West Hollywood area, and I lived in a complex where it was like 20 units, all facing. Everything was like there was like a courtyard. Everything was facing each other. And there was a guy who lived. I was on the bottom floor, and it was a very small courtyard. And the guy lived right across the courtyard, and he was just like, when you like you see someone, you can immediately identify them as a character, like their energy, the way they carry themselves. Like, all right, this is a character. And he was a chatty character, so he's just constantly like, when I'd come home, I'd pull down the driveway and I'd see him out there, and I just like would Navy seal it around the building and like try to figure out a way to my apartment without being spotted. If he were to catch me, I would know that this was 35 minutes of my life wasted, just uncomfortable small talk, or listening to him basically ramble. So this guy was a character, and I'd hear him all day. If I was ever like home during the day, he would be screaming, constantly screaming to customer service of whatever cable company, phone company, like just like screaming into the phone, like, how dare you? And he's like walking around his apartment, pacing, just like, how dare you? You said you would be here at 2, and just losing it. So it was entertainment to like listen to him. He's always yelling at his cats too. I think he had like 4 or 5 cats, and he's like screaming at them by name and yelling at them for being cats. Like, how dare they? So so you have this going on. So here's the love story. So I was like, at the time, trying to like date this girl, and we had gone on a couple dates, and then I pulled that whole like thing where you're like, hey, like, why don't you come by my place, and we'll have dinner. You keep it vague. You don't say if you're gonna make dinner or order it. You're like, we'll have dinner and we'll relax. It'll be cool. And it's like, great. We're at the point now where it's like, she should see where I live and whatever. So I opened my apartment. It was a nice night with that West Hollywood like breeze, and I had candles and just so douchey. I had like music playing in the background. I was like so dumb. Had cleaned my apartment like it's never been cleaned
Did
before.
you put up candles?
Yeah, candles were going. A mood was being set, a horrible mood. At the time, I was like, this is the greatest. This looks like the greatest living space ever. Now I look back, I cringe. So I have this set up. I order food. You take it out of the wrapper. You put it on plates. Wine selection, everything. So she comes over. We're having a great night. We're like eating dinner. So I'm at the table. There's the window and the door's open with like a screen door. It's a quiet night. So all of a sudden, in the middle of this dinner, you hear like this muffled yelling, and then you hear this front door slam, and you hear this guy say, "Your wife is a whore," and it's like, what? And then it's the character, the chatty character. He comes storming out. The manager of the building who lives next door to him, they're in a screaming match. Why they decide to move across the courtyard and stand right in front of my apartment is beyond me. And the chatty character screaming at him. He's like, everybody knows your wife's a slut. Like, men are in and out of your apartment all day long when you're gone. Like, screaming. These two get in a fight. A full, like, wrestling, like, on my patio. Like, screaming and yelling. Wife comes out, kids come out. Daddy, daddy. Like, the manager is like, kids. Daddy, no, daddy, no. This whole thing. And we're sitting there, like, eating in shock. We're just like, and it's cops show up. helicopter circling. The chatty character before had called 911 and told them that the guy had a gun. So cops come in, guns out, on these two on the ground. This is all right. This is all 5 feet from my table. Guns drawn, screaming because they think there's a gun. That's why there's a helicopter circling. Kids are screaming and crying. Like, it's like this whole, like, you know, like cops, you know, live PD right on my doorstep. And this happens for like, this is like a 35-minute ordeal. And we're like diving for cover. They finally arrest these guys. And they take the chatty guy to jail because he lashed out at one of the officers. I found out later. And then the officers pull me and this girl like out of the apartment and like interview us separately. I don't know why separately. Like we were like up to something. Like they catch us in a lie. And yeah, and so then we didn't even finish our food. And then when the police finally left and all the neighbors were back in, she was like, I think I should go.
You think?
I couldn't blame her, you know, because there's a part of me like, I want to go too, but unfortunately I can't because I live here. But, and she left and she never called me again. And
that's my follow-up question. Well, I just picture this guy, old, bald, in a wife beater or like a Hawaiian shirt.
Close. So, bald, you nailed.
Okay.
He was a shorter gentleman, and nothing wrong with that. That's fine. He was in shape. He was very, very flamboyant, loud. He was probably like in his 40s, but also sort of a character note or trait of his was that whenever he was always knocking on my door, and whenever I would throw something away, there was a dumpster located in the back of the building. Just go out there and throw stuff away. Every once in a while, I'd throw away like a ton of like magazines or screener DVDs or some random stuff. And that day, it was like clockwork. He would knock on my door and be like, do you mind if I take this? And I would be like, of course not. I mean, it's in the, like, I'm not storing it there. Like I'm done with it. But he always would come ask me. I don't know how he knew it was me, by the way. But he'd always be like, I'm sorry to bother you, but do you mind if I like take this? And I'd be like, it's a magazine. It's not like an Xbox. I didn't like toss something out that, you know, was like valuable. It was just like this random. He was just like a crazy, weird. He didn't work. I think he was like an actor that did like SAG extra work and made enough. There's a reason he was digging in dumpsters now I think about it. So maybe he wasn't making enough, but he like, he's just a weird dude. And every other day he was screaming at customer service, which was great.
What was the best excuse for taking that long conversation and getting the hell out of there? Because we all have those annoying neighbors that you're doing something and then they come up to you. And thank God, I have really crazy ass neighbors up here. And when they're walking by, like I'll run because I can see them coming from a mile away. But like when I lived closer to people, they would always come up and you're like, oh, I can never get away.
Yeah, you have to, it is an art form and it's a muscle you have to build like an ability. And, you can always tell, obviously, from the eye contact and the energy that, oh, this person's coming over to sort of do some damage. I think, one of the key tools that I think, if I can turn this sort of into like a TED Talk, is the phone. You can always act like you're getting a call. You can always act like you have like an emergency. That's always a classic move. Now, I'm such a sucker because I feel bad. I'm like I want to fake the call and be like, I have to take this, but I'm also like, man, this guy might really need to talk to somebody, or he might have a lot riding on this, or like, so, but other than that, you just gotta go with it. You're sucked into this back and forth sort of conversation tennis match, and you got to wear them out, which probably won't happen. And there are some that don't take up your subtle sort of like your cues of, you know, if you're outside doing something and you're done and you start walking away, kind of, you're slowly get to the door, you're kind of halfway inside now and they're still going, and hopefully they pick up on that it's time to end it. But I just avoid them at all costs. I do whatever it takes.
I think we all
through a back window or
I think we all do. And thanks for sharing that crazy ass neighbor story. I love that. And sorry that date did not go that as well as planned, but I would have literally been in there with like popcorn, been like, this is awesome. Like we got a cops.
I know. I should have, but as you can tell, I was so focused on getting laid because with the candles and the music, like it was all too much. That's probably why she wanted to leave. And then this guy and the police and all that was sort of like her out. But yeah, Jason, I mean, she's the one that got away, and that guy ruined it.
Maybe she can listen to this and be like, oh, I remember Michael. I remember that. And you guys can reconnect. Yeah. Right? We could be a love connection again.
I should tell her all that was staged because I was supposed to run out there and save the day, but it didn't go.
And then you got scared.
Those were all actors, but they were so good I got scared. I didn't do it.
That's awesome. Well, Michael, man, thanks so much for coming on the show. And
thanks for having me.
Keep us informed of any other crazy ass neighbors. And if you all have
know if he finds me.
Yep. And if you guys have a crazy ass neighbor story, make sure you go to crazyassneighbor.com, and we will chat with you soon. Oh no. Here we go.